Welcome to Leaders HQ, your source for information, stories, and resources to help you become a better leader. Imagine this. You're sitting in a room with your team. The clock ticks, conversations meander, and the energy is low. You've prepared for this meeting, but somehow, progress stalls. Important points are missed, decisions aren't made, and as the meeting ends, you're left feeling frustrated, wondering, why didn't we accomplish more? You're not alone. This situation happens to leaders in nonprofits, corporations, political campaigns, and small teams alike. Meetings, the cornerstone of leadership, can often feel like an obstacle rather than an opportunity. What you're experiencing is a lack of mastery in leading meetings. At its core, mastering the meeting means understanding how to guide a conversation with clarity, focus, and purpose. It's about ensuring the right goals are set, decisions are made, and every participant feels heard and engaged. Literally, it's managing the structure and flow of the meeting. Contextually, it's about fostering trust and forward momentum for your team. Meetings should inspire action, not frustration. How common is this issue? Extremely common. Leaders of all kinds, nonprofit directors, managers in corporate settings, political campaigners, struggle to run effective meetings. Some spend hours preparing only to find their team tuning out. Others feel lost when conversations derail or when silence fills the room. This challenge doesn't mean you're a bad leader. It's simply a skill that requires practice, tools, and awareness to master. If you're feeling frustrated, it's understandable. You may be questioning yourself, am I wasting my team's time? Or why can't I get everyone on the same page? These feelings are natural. The truth is, ineffective meetings have ripple effects. For your team, it can lead to disengagement, confusion, and wasted effort. For your organization, it impacts productivity and morale. For you as a leader, it can sap your confidence, leaving you hesitant to take charge. Think about the great leaders who inspire action, how they command a room and guide teams toward success. What sets them apart? It's not charisma alone. It's their ability to communicate purpose, create clarity, and keep momentum alive during meetings. This is a skill that nonprofits have used to align their volunteers, corporations have leveraged to meet ambitious goals, and political leaders have harnessed to drive movements. Here's the good news. Mastering meetings is achievable. With time, tools, and commitment, you can transform your meetings into powerful moments of progress. The frustration you're feeling now can be replaced with confidence and clarity. Imagine walking into your next meeting and leading it with precision, engaging your team, guiding discussions, and leaving the room with clear action steps. It's not out of reach. It's a skill you can develop. What does it take? First, you need a willingness to reflect on where you can improve. Second, you need resources, frameworks, coaching, or tools that can help you understand the art of structuring and leading meetings effectively. Finally, it takes practice. Like any leadership skill, the more you refine your approach, the stronger your results will be. Does this sound familiar to you? If so, you're not alone, and you don't have to stay stuck. Leadership growth begins with small steps, and mastering the meeting is one of the most powerful steps you can take to unlock your team's potential. Take a moment to reflect. How effective are your meetings right now? Over the next few scenes, we'll explore tools and insights that can help you transform the way you lead. You've already shown up today. That's the first step. Let's move forward together and unlock your ability to master the meeting. Right now, you may feel stuck. Perhaps you're overwhelmed, unsure how to lead your team effectively or where to start. Maybe meetings feel unproductive, progress feels slow, and you worry that you aren't the leader your team or community needs you to be. It's natural to feel this way, but here's the truth. Leadership isn't about perfection, it's about growth. You have the ability to improve, to build skills, and to become the leader who inspires change and success. Imagine this as your starting point. Today, you might doubt your ability to guide your team. Maybe you struggle with communication, delegation, or keeping your meetings focused. You aren't alone. Countless leaders, from nonprofits to corporate teams to community groups, have been exactly where you are now. The difference between where they were and where they are today is that they chose to take the first step. The journey isn't easy, but it's worth it, and you can do it. Step 1 is reflection. Take a moment to identify where you are now as a leader. What challenges are you facing? Are meetings unclear or unproductive? Are you hesitant to delegate tasks? Start by journaling or writing down these challenges. Be honest and specific. Leadership growth begins with awareness. When you can see what's holding you back, you'll know where to focus your energy. Step 2 is learning. Leadership, like any skill, requires time, tools, and practice to master. Seek out resources to help you grow: books, podcasts, courses, or coaching. Learn about effective communication, how to structure meetings, and how to empower others. Commit to spending just 1 hour a day investing in your development. Over time, this consistent effort will help you lead with clarity, confidence, and purpose. Step 3 is action. Start small. Apply one new idea in your next meeting. For example, set a clear agenda, focus on active listening, or delegate one task to a team member. Growth happens through practice. Each small step forward builds momentum and reinforces your confidence as a leader. Remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about showing up, learning, and leading by example. Now imagine the leader you could become in 6 months or a year. Picture yourself walking into a room with confidence, knowing that your meetings will be productive, your team will feel heard, and real progress will be made. You'll develop key traits like resilience, clear communication, and the ability to empower others. You'll be a leader who builds trust, inspires action, and moves your team forward. The transformation doesn't stop with you. Imagine your team in 3 to 6 months. With your leadership, they'll become more engaged, aligned, and effective. Meetings will turn into opportunities for growth, collaboration, and innovation. Instead of feeling disconnected, your team will feel united and motivated to work toward shared goals. The progress they make won't just be felt, it will be seen. And what about your community? When leaders and teams thrive, communities benefit. Imagine the ripple effect your growth could have. Projects get completed, goals are achieved, and people are inspired to step up and contribute. Whether you're working in a nonprofit, a corporate environment, or a grassroots movement, your leadership matters. The skills you build today can create lasting impact for those around you. Here's where you start. Take time to reflect. Write down the challenges you're facing in your leadership right now. Be honest about where you feel stuck. Learn something new today. Find one book, podcast, or article about leadership that speaks to your current struggles. Spend 30 minutes exploring it. Take action. Apply one small change in your next meeting or interaction. Whether it's delegating a task, listening more intently, or creating a clear agenda, small steps add up to big results. Remember, growth is a process. Leadership mastery doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen with intention and effort. Millions of leaders have started where you are now and found success. You have the ability to do the same. Every hour you invest in yourself, every challenge you face, and every small step you take will bring you closer to becoming the leader your team and community need. You don't have to do it alone. Surround yourself with people who will support and challenge you. Seek out mentors, learn from others, and take advantage of the resources available to you. Progress is possible. You just have to start. So, what's the first step you'll take today? Will you reflect on your challenges? Will you commit to learning something new? Will you take action, no matter how small? The choice is yours. Leadership is not about being perfect. It's about showing up, growing, and leading with courage. The journey to becoming a confident, effective leader begins now. Start small, stay consistent, and trust yourself. You have what it takes to grow, inspire, and create lasting change. Robert sat at the head of the table in Rosini's coffee shop, the hum of espresso machines and quiet chatter filling the space. The team's notes were scattered across the table, laptops glowing with unfinished plans. They were working on their next big town hall, an opportunity to bring in influential leaders and strengthen community ties. Robert's chest felt heavy as he looked at his team. Each person waited, looking to him for direction, but he found himself hesitating again. He glanced at the whiteboard, the to-do list growing longer. Instead of delegating, Robert had tried to keep it all in his head, taking responsibility for every decision. The team had stalled. Conversations looped in circles. As the energy in the room began to dim, Marcus, a seasoned volunteer, leaned forward and broke the silence. "How can we trust your leadership when you don't guide us?" Marcus's tone wasn't angry, but it was firm, raw honesty cutting through the noise. The words hit Robert like a punch to the chest. The room fell still, all eyes turning to him. For a moment, the only sound was the hiss of steam from behind the coffee counter. Robert's throat tightened, his thoughts spiraling. They don't trust me. I failed. But then something shifted inside him. The discomfort of Marcus's challenge wasn't an attack. It was an invitation. Robert could see the frustration on his team's faces, but he also saw their potential, waiting for him to show up. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. "You're right," Robert said finally. His voice was softer than he intended, but he didn't stop. "I've been holding back because I don't know how to do this perfectly. I'm still learning how to lead." The words hung there, vulnerable and raw, but Robert pressed on. "I need your help. I need to listen to you and trust you to help us move forward." The team exchanged surprised glances. It wasn't the polished confidence they expected, but it was honest. For the first time, Robert felt like he'd stepped into his role as a leader, not because he had all the answers, but because he was ready to take responsibility and empower his team. "Hannah," Robert continued, turning toward one of the volunteers, "what do you think needs to happen next for this town hall?" She hesitated for a second, but then spoke up. "We need to finalize the list of business leaders and reach out by the end of the week." Robert nodded. "That's a great start. Could you lead that part?" Hannah's face lit up, a mix of surprise and determination. "Sure, I can do that." One by one, Robert began asking for input, breaking tasks into clear steps and handing over responsibilities. The meeting shifted. Marcus leaned back, watching as the team re-engaged, their ideas and energy starting to flow again. Robert still felt the edge of discomfort. This wasn't natural for him yet, but he could see the change happening. His honesty had sparked something real. By the time they packed up, there was movement and direction. Plans were written down, responsibilities were accepted, and for the first time in weeks, Robert felt the weight on his shoulders begin to lighten. As the volunteers headed out, Marcus lingered for a moment. "That was better," he said simply, nodding to Robert before following the others. Standing there, Robert realized that leadership wasn't about having perfect control. It was about creating trust, empowering others, and showing up even when it felt hard. The team didn't need him to do everything. They needed him to guide, listen, and help them succeed. As he walked to the door, Robert let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. The path forward was clearer now. Be honest, empower the team, follow through consistently. With every step, he was learning not just how to lead, but how to build leaders around him. Robert stood at the front of the small room in Rosini's coffee shop, surrounded by his team. The whiteboard was filled with notes and timelines, and the faint scent of coffee lingered in the air. This time, though, the room felt different. He looked at his volunteers, some engaged, others still uncertain, and knew this was the moment to try something new. He couldn't avoid it anymore. He needed to step up, be honest, and empower them. Taking a steadying breath, Robert began. "I want to start by saying something I should have said earlier. I don't have all the answers. I'm learning as we go, and I'm figuring out how to lead in a way that works for all of us. But I can't do this alone. I need your input, your ideas, and your leadership, too." The words hung in the air. Robert felt a tight knot of vulnerability in his chest. For a split second, he feared he had said too much, that his admission would backfire. The team exchanged glances, and Robert's nerves began to bubble up. Then Hannah, the quiet but sharp volunteer, spoke up. "Okay, what do you need from us?" Relief washed over him, but he stayed focused. "Hannah, you've been great with organizing the guest lists. Could you take the lead on inviting the local business leaders?" She nodded, a small smile crossing her face. "Yeah, I can do that." Robert turned to Marcus, the team's most seasoned volunteer, who had been skeptical just days before. "Marcus, we need a solid schedule for the town hall. Could you pull that together?" Marcus studied Robert for a moment, his expression guarded, but then nodded. "If you're serious about letting me run with it, I'll make it happen." The team was still cautious, but something was shifting. Ideas began to flow. Tasks were divided. A plan started to take shape. Robert felt the tension in the room ease as his volunteers leaned into their new roles. For the first time, the energy felt collaborative, not just reliant on him to make every decision. It wasn't easy. Robert still felt an urge to step in, to micromanage, to ensure everything was perfect. But he held himself back, reminding himself that leadership was about trust. As the meeting progressed, he listened more than he spoke, asked for feedback, and gave encouragement where it was needed. By the time they wrapped up, there was clear momentum. Volunteers were chatting as they packed up their things, energized by the progress they had made together. Hannah caught Robert before leaving. "Thanks for trusting us. It feels like we're finally moving forward." Her words stayed with him. As Robert sat back in his chair, watching the team file out, he allowed himself to feel a small, cautious sense of optimism. For the first time, he saw what leadership could look like, not as a burden he carried alone, but as something shared with those around him. There was still work to do, but today, something had shifted. Progress wasn't about perfection. It was about taking the first step, being honest, and letting others step into their strengths. Robert knew this was only the beginning, but he was ready for what came next. Over the past few moments, we've taken an important journey together. We began by recognizing the challenges that come with leadership, the uncertainty, the frustration, and that nagging feeling of not being enough. But those challenges don't define you. They're simply the starting point. You saw that leadership isn't about being perfect. It's about having the courage to show up, to learn, and to grow. Every leader starts here, and progress begins with one small, honest step forward. Mastering leadership is within your reach. Picture where you are today. Maybe you're facing a team that's disengaged, meetings that feel aimless, or a project that seems stuck. You might feel overwhelmed or even frozen, unsure where to start. That's okay. Growth doesn't happen overnight. It happens when you choose to take action despite the uncertainty, when you commit to becoming the leader your team needs, no matter how imperfect you feel. Leadership is not a solo journey. You don't have to do this alone. Millions of leaders, just like you, have faced these same struggles. They've stood where you're standing now, feeling unsure but determined to grow. With time, tools, and perseverance, they've transformed themselves and their teams into something extraordinary. And if they can do it, so can you. You are capable of building trust, creating clarity, and inspiring progress. It all starts with that first step. So I want to encourage you. Take time this week to focus on your leadership growth. Spend an hour a day journaling your thoughts, reflecting on where you are and where you want to be. Talk to someone you trust, a mentor, a coach, or even a friend. Lean into the resources that are available to you. This isn't about taking huge leaps overnight. It's about showing up for yourself consistently, one step at a time. Close your eyes and imagine where you could be in 6 months if you commit to this. Picture yourself walking into a meeting with confidence, your team engaged, focused, and aligned. See how they trust you, not because you have all the answers, but because you've empowered them to step up. Imagine the projects you could complete, the growth you could inspire, and the positive ripple effect you could have in your community. Now ask yourself this. What's the first small step you can take today to build confidence and empower others? Maybe it's as simple as creating a clear agenda for your next meeting, or delegating a task you've been holding on to. Maybe it's starting a conversation with your team about what they need. Share your answer in the comments below. By sharing, you're not just committing to yourself, you're inspiring others to take that first step, too. If this video has resonated with you, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to our channel. At Leaders HQ, we're building a community of growth-minded leaders who are dedicated to learning and making a difference. Join us, because your journey matters and you're not alone. Together, we can create the leaders the world needs, leaders like you. Thank you for showing up today, for being part of this community, and for investing in yourself. We see you. We value you. Leadership isn't just a title. It's the commitment to keep growing and inspiring others, no matter how uncertain the road may seem. I'll leave you with this thought. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Leadership begins with you. Take that first step. Believe in yourself. You've got this. We'll be here, walking alongside you, every step of the way.